So the Carolina Panthers, interesting draft, very interesting draft. It all started with J.C. Horn at number 8. And listen, people hate this take, but I'm not crazy about this pick. I'm not. I'm sorry. My video about it got downvoted because people don't like hearing how I'm just not that confident in Sam Darnold. And again, my whole point isn't necessarily that I think Sam Darnold sucks and won't be great. My point is just that I think they should have gone with a backup plan. And if they weren't going to get quarterback here, they should have gotten a quarterback at some point. But they decided not to do that. And I'm not crazy about J.C. Horn as a player, but I think he'll fit that team pretty well. They like to play zone, which I think Horn can be a great zone corner. So I'm not going to hate on it too much. Now, one of the things people talk about with J.C. Horn is how good he is at the line. Probably won't matter too much because Carolina doesn't like to have their corners play press coverage too much. And I think that with Horn, I actually don't want him playing press, even though he is so good with his hands at the line, just because, he doesn't have the explosiveness some other guys do. But it's weird because I feel like some people really dislike J.C. Horn. Some people are huge fans of J.C. Horn. There's a lot of different opinions, and I'm kind of in the middle. I kind of think that he's like, there's some good there. I see the criticisms. I think they're fair, but I also see the praises, and I think those are fair too. So he's an interesting player. I think he'll fit well in the defense. I'm definitely not mad at this pick, even if it's not what I would have done. Again, I try to say like, okay, there's a difference between doing something I wouldn't have done and doing a bad pick. I think this is the first one. And I got to also say, after this, I love what the Panthers did. So I have one pick that I'm kind of question mark. Everything else, huge fan of. So round 2, Terrence Marshall Jr. Love it. I mean, they could use another receiver to, get that third receiver, which typically you like to have 3 receivers. We saw how well Carolina did with 3 receivers in last draft class. So getting a Terrence Marshall Jr., who should be great in that system, can really run over the middle very well with his 6'2" size. And, they get teams to play zone against them with Christian McCaffrey. You now have Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, and Terrence Marshall. Huge fan of this pick. Absolutely love it. And they got an offensive tackle too, Brady Christensen, who isn't someone that I have evaluated too much, so I don't know. He was, he played with Zach Wilson in BYU, so I kind of saw some of him just from evaluating Zach Wilson. But to be honest, I'm not one of those guys where I sort of evaluate the whole play when I watch film. I kind of just evaluate the one player. So I don't have too much of an opinion on Christensen too much because I was focused on Zach Wilson. But it seems interesting. Some people, I think, thought he was going to go a little later. But if they like him, then cool, draft him. They could use a tackle, so don't hate this whatsoever. And where it really gets interesting is round 3, Tommy Tremble. I mean, this is just so interesting. So, he's a tight end, but to me, he is a fullback. I mean, that's what he did a lot of in Notre Dame. And I think that getting a guy like him who can play fullback, it gets me really excited. I've compared him to kind of a Kyle Juszczyk type. So imagine him with Christian McCaffrey in the same offense, and you have 3 good receivers, and you have a good offensive line. Yeah, this looks awesome. And if this doesn't work out, nobody can say that Sam Darnold was never put in a good situation because he's in a great situation here. And really, as long as Sam Darnold, even if he's just decent, this offense could be great. And even in the 4th round, they got Chuba Hubbard, that's a fun name to say. Haven't said it out loud until right now. But I know that he had I forget exactly how good it was, but he had a big game against Matt Rule in college. So that's kind of interesting. And, again, they need a second string running back now. They lost Mike Davis. So getting him makes sense. 4th round pick. This is one I like going running back. Totally on board. Absolutely a fan. They had 2 picks in round 5 and got a couple of defensive depth players that I find interesting. So Devon Nixon, who they just needed another big body over the middle. Like that makes sense. I get it. Just another guy there. Keith Taylor, though, is the interesting one for me at corner because he's 6'3" and kind of is known for his press coverage, which it kind of makes me wonder. So I believe Carolina, their corners they pressed the least amount in the NFL last year, or at least some of the least amount. They barely ever pressed last year. I forget the exact thing. Now they go out and draft a guy, Keith Taylor. He didn't even break he ran a 4.53 40 at his pro day. So not a fast corner. Again, the hope is he can be a zone corner, sort of use his physicality. Same thing with J.C. Horn. So I don't think Keith Taylor is going to start, but he'll get some playing time probably. So The question is just going to be how much, it's an interesting thing. And I wonder exactly how the defense is going to be ran next year. They like to have a lot of defensive backs just play in general. It's interesting to me. And I wonder, they value what other teams don't value, it seems. They want big corners who are physical, whereas other guys kind of look at, like, me personally, I want a quick corner. I want a fast corner. That seems to be what translates well, but not always. And I think maybe they see something that we don't. And if the rest of the league is zigging, if you zag, you're going to get better players because they fit your scheme better than everyone else's scheme. So it's interesting to me. And that kind of gives me some insight in why they drafted JC Horn at number 8 as well, because it's the similar mindset. Couple of interesting picks in round 6. I say interesting way too much. I know. Couple of fascinating picks in round 6. You got Deontay Brown, who is just a big guard. He's 6'4", 350 pounds. So, and apparently there's reports that he's even bigger. So just a big guard who can be a depth guy that way. The size is interesting to me. Don't know too much about him. Do know a good bit about Shee Smith. I even made a film study on him. I'm surprised he fell as far as he did. He can make a tough catch. He is quick. I know he's a little bit smaller, but this is surprising to me. And he can easily be a wide receiver 4 in that room. I like this pick a lot. And they've vastly improved their offense, giving plenty of weapons for Sam Darnold. I don't know why he fell so far. He's, to me, someone he can start. Absolutely. He could be a starting wide receiver on some teams. There's just a lot of wide receiver talent, so why not take one right here? Round 6, you have Thomas Fletcher, a long snapper. So, it even looks like, I don't know. Their current long snapper is 35, so I guess they're replacing him. I don't know anything about long snapping. I don't know, but hey, they wanted a long snapper, so fine. And then, round 7, interestingly enough, a lot of times round 7, this is like a special teams pick. That's not really what they appeared to have gone with here with Phil Hoskins. He's, maybe he'll play special teams, but it's not like he's going to be returning kicks. He's a defensive tackle, but 6'5", 313 pounds. Maybe there's some value there. And again, when the rest of the league is drafting special teams round 7, you can draft someone else and maybe get a little bit better value there. So don't hate that pick either. Although again, don't know too much about it. So yeah, as a whole, I love this draft. There's one pick I didn't love, and that's fine. I'm allowed to have a different opinion than you have. You that's cool. We're allowed to disagree on this, and we'll see who's right. I do think he fits the system very well, though, so I'm not mad at the pick by any means. Personally, I would have rather gone quarterback there, and I think that if Sam Darnold doesn't work out, they could be kicking themselves for not going quarterback there. But you know what? If Sam Darnold does work out and JC Horn becomes who they believe he can be, and even who I believed he can be, they would feel really good about it. So, yeah, again, one negative thing, 7 positive things. People will focus on the negative, but it is what it is. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.